Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the April Medicine Hat Police Commission meeting. Welcome to the service, welcome fellow commissioners, welcome to our guests, and welcome to those online. We'll open this evening with a land acknowledgement. The Medicine Hat Police Service and its Police Commission honor and acknowledge that we are situated on Treaty 7 and Treaty 4 territory, the traditional lands of the Siksika, Blackfoot, Kainai, Piikani, Stoney Nakoda, and Tsuut'ina, as well as the Cree, Sioux, and Saulteaux bands of the Ojibwe people. We also acknowledge that we are on the traditional homelands of the Métis Nation. I would now ask any commission member present to advise the chair if they have any perceived or known conflict of interest related to any items listed on today's agenda. Any declared conflicts will be noted in the minutes. Seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the agenda. The agenda was circulated on Friday. A motion from the commission to accept or amend.
Motion to accept.
Vice Chair Keen, thank you. Seconder, Commissioner Robles, thank you. Anybody abstained? Opposed? The agenda is approved as circulated. The minutes were included in that package. A motion to accept the March 19th, 2025 open meeting minutes.
So moved.
Vice Chair Keen. Councillor Hirsch, thank you. Anybody abstained? Opposed? Minutes are approved as presented. Move on to the services presentation. Chief Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It is my privilege to introduce a few of our members here. So I'll start off, I'll introduce Petra Pfeiffer, who's our Victim Assistance Program Manager. Petra just joined us in the last few weeks, so welcome to Petra. She will be joined by Carrie Stober, who's our Victim Navigation Specialist. And Carrie is with our facility dog, Athena, who's with Carrie. Also joined by Kim Fishley, who's the unit assistant. We'll let the ladies take the presentation away, and we'll have some things to say at the end, Mr. Chair. Take it away, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting us here to this meeting tonight so we can present to you on the Victim Assistance Unit with the Medicine Hat Police Service. As a unit of the Medicine Hat Police Service, we ensure victims of a crime receive professional services in accordance with the Alberta Victims of Crime and Public Safety Act. We collaborate with community organizations to minimize personal and system-induced trauma. And we support the well-being of victims of crime by providing timely and professional client-centered trauma-informed services. Our qualified and well-trained staff and volunteers provide assistance to clients that include but are not limited to referrals to other community organizations. We provide information to victims on crime programs, and we support victims from the time of a criminal offense throughout the criminal justice proceedings and after court disposition. Last year, our volunteers logged a total of 15,350.08 hours, and they do this by being on call, attending crisis call-outs, and providing follow-up services and ongoing support to the victims. We also provide courtroom orientation, direct court support in the courtroom, and complete and accurate file documentation. We employ 3 full-time staff members, and 11 advocate volunteers volunteer their experience and services to the unit as well. We are always in the recruitment process and looking for volunteers.
We provided a few stats for you. So these stats are 2024 stats. So we opened a total file count is 1,212 files for 2024. In-station assist to children's services or police, count number is 262. We responded to crisis callouts, which is the crisis incident response, 117 times in the past year. Drop-in services, which include home visits and hospital visits, are 49. Total supports provided, which includes I lost it. Okay, let's find it again. Which includes all contacts we had with our victims. So they total just over 7,000 contacts, so 7,176 contacts. Of these, we provided 217 support in-station. Those are the facility dogs. We have 2, and helped 1,023 people in total. And we had 1,832 community referrals in 2024. And I'm going to hand it over to Carrie to present on the dogs.
Thank you, Petra. So my name is Carrie Stober, and I'm fortunate enough to be the Victims Assistance Navigation Specialist through the Victims of Crime program here in MHPS. I'm also blessed to be a primary handler of Dogs with Wings Athena, who comes from us from out of Edmonton. It's an organization, Dogs with Wings. So Athena, their Dogs with Wings themselves are a purposeful bred, not-for-profit, ADI certified organization. There's 2 in Western Canada. So there's Dogs with Wings in Edmonton, and then there's PADS that comes out of BC, but they have a satellite office. What makes our dog special is we're fortunate enough to have an ADI certified dog, which is Assistance Dog International, and which means that is the gold standard for service dogs, facility dogs, seeing eye dogs. What you would traditionally know of is that. So because she's ADI certified, she's able to go on call-outs, go to court for extended periods of time, and so forth. We've been lucky in the service to have 3 dogs. For some of you will know Mulder. Mulder came to us in 2016 and retired last year after helping thousands of people. And then Athena came, which she is a very, very well-trained good girl, and she's just staring at me, and I'm finding it awkward right now because she's looking for the next thing she's supposed to do. And then we also have Glory as well, that is not with us tonight, but has a handler who's actually a police officer, Constable Jason Dola. So he's the handler of Glory. I have to put my glasses on to see what the next, there we are, whoops, other way, there we go. So our facility dogs serve many different purposes throughout the Medicine Hat Police Service, one of which is because they're trained for child forensic interviewing, they support children that have a particularly tragic story to tell or share with a police officer, and they do that by going up to the CAC here in Medicine Hat at Sonari Center, where they are then used when a child forensic interview is taking place. We also have them in station, so she comes to work with me every day, and she's available for anybody who might come in to possibly provide a statement or is particularly going through a difficult time. The Crown Prosecutor has come to rely on us here. Like I said, we are very fortunate that our dogs are so well trained, they know what they get, and there's no concerns with them affecting negatively if they're on the stand with a child. We've done a lot of work in getting the dogs on the stand, and it's now pretty standardized across Alberta. If there's a child that has to testify and if it would be useful to have a dog, that we have dogs available. Now, we don't want to make sure that they're not going to be a distraction to the child, so we do put a lot of work in prior to actually taking the stand with one of the dogs. We will have specialized prosecution will reach out to us from Edmonton, Calgary, if they have a particular case, and we'll, book one of our dogs to go. So they do court support. And that can just be also sitting in the gallery, not necessarily on the stand, but in the gallery as well during that time. The Crowns have on occasion sent us an email saying, I would appreciate a dog coming for no other purpose. just want to be with the dog after the trial's over. So we will do that as well. They've bridged a couple gaps for us, or with even defense now will come and afterwards, and we'll just want to, participate and give a quick head tussle to the dogs. So our dogs also offer support by attending Medicine Hat open houses, such things as these, coming out to the commission, meeting people. We've worked with the Medicine Hat Police Service recruits. We will go out to school group tours as well as school visits. One of the interesting things about the dogs is they have helped and I use this word carefully, normalize some of the things that our kids in our community have had to go through, in the sense that so many people that children have had to report something tragic will get to meet one of the dogs. We'll go into the school and a child will come up to us and say, oh, I met, Glory, or I met Athena when I was telling somebody about what happened to me. And before we know it, usually a different child will overhear something and they'll be like, oh, I met Mulder when I was doing that. And so all of a sudden you have kids that wouldn't have associated together, normalizing what they've been through. And, and they've made this connection because that's maybe the only thing that they have in common, but they have that in common. So it's really neat to be out in public. The other thing that's really neat is to be able to see kids want to come back, although they've had the experience of something particularly traumatic, and then we often will get phone calls, texts or calls or whatever saying, hey, can I come back to meet the dog again? And they come in, and what they've left after this whole experience, they've come back forgetting all of that part, but just knowing that they had this unconditional set of ears that listened to them, and they just want to visit with the dog. So we actually think that's pretty cool. One of the benefits that we didn't realize we were going to get that we got. You'll see in this particular picture, and I have to do this, I have to let you know that that is a volunteer's grandson who was not feeling well that day. So the picture looks like it's way worse than it was. So, and I remember he was so sick and he wanted to go home, and the mom and the grandma kept saying, and that's how committed our volunteers are, no, you just have to stay there. We have to get this picture of Mulder. So that's Sherry Coos, one of our child forensic interviewers with Children and Family Services. And she is the primary handler of Mulder, now retired Mulder, and also the secondary handler of Athena. So, I mean, as you can read it, it's proven that facility dogs just offer that unconditional support and their calming presence. And we've had instances where, and Sherry speaks of one time where she met with a child and they just couldn't get what they were needing out of this child to share. So Sherry had stepped out of the room and the cameras were still rolling, and the child told Mulder everything. That was the end of it. They got all the information they needed. So it is well worth having a facility dog on staff, not only for kiddos that come in, but also staff members. I have to say we've made the dogs available to anybody who needs to come by, and we will often have officers that we don't know what they're going through that will just pop their head in. Big men and tall women, and they'll just sit on the dog bed. We just quietly leave and just let them have their moment with the dogs. This is another one of Crown Interview and Support, just to give you an idea of what that looks like. That was just heading into court before an actor took the stand, so that one. So in an official capacity, which means that we've put the vest on, that they are working, we expect a certain level of performance out of them. We've put the vest on those dogs 373 times last year. That doesn't count for the times that we just make it informal, when we just meet somebody without a vest on. So we've had an opening for a secondary handler for Glory, and when we talk about our volunteers and just the vast number of hours that they're willing to put in, one of our volunteers has stepped up. She's a full-time business owner, but she's one of our great volunteers that is willing to take on the task of secondary handler, and she is committing endless hours of just working with us to make sure that we have Glory ready for court when the time comes. So, that's, I was just on a roll. Sorry. I could talk for hours, in fact.
Go back. At this point in time, we would like to announce, and we're really honored to announce, that Carrie Stober, who just presented here, our victim navigation specialist, has been chosen to be the recipient of the Justice Canada Excellence in Victim Services Awards for 2025. The award will take place online on May 12th, 11 to 1:30 Mountain Standard Time. Please take this as an invitation to join us for this event. If you're around, it'll be taking place in the Medicine Hat Police Detachment. Community Boardroom, thank you, Kim. yes, if you're around and would like to join us, please feel free to do so. And last but not least, are there any questions for us?
So thank you, ladies. I just want to thank Petra and Carrie and Kim for your work. And what the commission's not aware of that we're aware of is that Carrie and Kim, they managed all of the Victim Services Unit for the service for from September of 2024 until the end of March 2025, as we had a hiring process in place to find Petra and bring her to us, which was awesome, and that was great. But I want to thank Carrie and Kim for, they shouldered the load of 3 people, and the 2 of you did that. So the work you did for the service and for this community and region with Victim Services and managing and working with all our volunteers. So thank you so much for that, and congratulations, Carrie, for your award.
It's a team effort, so I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that we're a team. And we are together through thick and thin, and we will continue to be together through thick and thin. So we're just happy to have Petra on board now, so.
Thank you for the presentation. Commission, questions, comments? Councillor Hirsch?
Yeah, you know, I guess I'm considered a fortunate one that doesn't have to have victim services. But I'm happy you guys are there to do so. I unfortunately have ran into many people that went through some trials and tribulations in their life and certainly used your services, and, you know, the feedback that you guys talk about in terms of making a difference, I can tell you firsthand you do. So thank you for your service and your contributions and everything you guys bring to the table, because it definitely making a difference. Way back when, I ran foster homes and had kids in care that really just wanted some, so I'm with you on the companionship and just able to make that sort of connections. You know, just remember some people that had dogs as foster homes, and the kids that were in care just absolutely gravitated because it was, in your words, unconditional. And I think that's such a powerful thing. So again, thank you. No questions, but just a note of thanks. Yeah, thank you.
And yeah, I just too would like to say thanks. I was on the commission pre having a facility dog, and when Mulder was brought on, and it's so encouraging just to see how far along the program has come, and what a blessing it is to have you and your team to be able to offer your services in our community. So thank you.
I'd just like to also add my thanks. I was involved with some family issues that required victims assistance, and you all did a wonderful job at that, and will always forever be in our hearts. So thank you for your help for my family.
I do have a question. What do you guys do for your mental health? Because as a person that was in that field, you know, you get home and you're exhausted. You know, I kind of remember what coping I had to do, but, you know, tell me how you guys kind of get, and you mentioned team, and I kind of know the answer, but maybe you can tell us kind of how you guys get by, because you guys deal with some pretty heavy stuff, right? So.
I started my position here on April 1st, and one of my rules that I have, I started with Victim Services in 2004, so I've run several units in the meantime, and I always have an open door policy for the staff and for our volunteers, and offer an operational debriefing maybe to start with, but if required, I'm also trained in critical incident stress debriefing. I think it's important that our staff has an opportunity to vent at times, and that might help their mental health and well-being. But I let staff talk for themselves on what they do.
Well, my answer's pretty easy. I live with Athena. We do a lot of sharing chocolate, so if you're ever in the station and you need chocolate, we've got you covered. You know what, we just do a lot of making sure that we're looking after ourselves, walking, talking. Talking's a big thing. Our volunteers, we're very fortunate that our volunteers are also allowed to access the supports through the Medicine Hat Police Service. They have access to the counselors. So we take that very serious, and the police service has supported us in that and in assuring that our volunteers that go out on these tough call-outs do have access to psychologists in our community as well. And then just making sure that sometimes we just step back and, you know, just take time to enjoy life. I mean, we live in a beautiful city, so it's not hard to find things to do. Kim, anything?
Yeah, I agree with that, actually.
Well, on behalf of the commission, thank you for taking some time to share what the work it is you do, and for the commissioners who can't be here, I'm sure I can say thank you on their behalf as well. The reality is that services like the Medicine Hat Police Service and many other things that we're involved with as a community wouldn't exist without volunteers, and we truly couldn't ever afford it. And so those ancillary services that maybe doesn't always get the spotlight. You know, this week is National Public Safety Telecommunications Week, so dispatchers are being recognized, and I think this is an awesome opportunity to recognize groups like yourselves and the great history that you have. So I know the citizens appreciate it. It's one of those things that people hope they never need to take advantage of, but they certainly feel very fortunate to have it when they need it. So thank you so much for your service, and we appreciate the presentation.
Congratulations, Carrie.
With that, we'll move on to the standing items. Item 7A, the police budget update. Chief Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A slight negative variance this month, but projecting a positive variance at year end at this point. That's everything.
There is no AAPG report this month, so we'll move on to the Office of the Chief. We'll begin with Operational Services Report, Inspector Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, Commission members. I'll turn your attention to page 9 of your package, and I'll speak to the first event that I want to highlight this evening, and that's on March 1st in the early morning hours. A patrol officer conducted a traffic stop in the area of Red Cliff Drive, southwest, after observing a stop sign violation. During the interaction with the driver, the passengers, the officer determined that the registered owner of the vehicle wasn't present in the vehicle. Additionally, the officers observed illegal contraband in plain view, and it prompted the arrest of all the occupants. Subsequent search of the vehicle uncovered multiple counterfeit vehicle identification numbers, commonly referred to as VIN plates. Further investigation confirmed that the 2021 Lexus that they were all in was a stolen vehicle, and it had been fitted with a counterfeit VIN number as well. So as a result of this investigation, 3 male subjects, an 18-year-old from Quebec, a 21-year-old from Quebec, Montreal, and a 24-year-old from Calgary, were charged with possession of stolen property and forgery. And all 3 individuals were then released from custody to have a court appearance later in April here. Also on page 9, I'll speak to another event that occurred on March 26 when patrol members responded to information regarding a drug trafficking in the downtown area. A vehicle suspected of being involved was identified, and the patrol section, along with the criminal investigation section, conducted a traffic stop jointly. This led to the arrest of a man and a woman from Medicine Hat. And during the investigation, officers seized fentanyl, methamphetamine, cocaine, prescription pills, a bladed weapon, and Canadian currency from both individuals in the vehicle. The estimated street value of the drugs was about $8,000, and as a result of the investigation, a 42-year-old female and a 46-year-old male, both from Medicine Hat, were charged with possession for the purpose of trafficking a controlled substance, possession of proceeds of crime, failure to comply with the release order conditions. And additionally, the female was charged with failing to comply with a probation order and possession of a prohibited weapon. both individuals were held for bail hearings and subsequently remanded into provincial custody. And I'll just touch briefly on page 10 of your packages. We did take possession of a brand-new drone that was approved through you and through City Council. The new drone, a DJI Matrix 30 series, was provided to us. There's photos of it there. And it's got, essentially better cameras, weather-resistant, several safety features, and it's just much easier to control for our members for a variety of different events throughout the city that we need it for. So we're very happy to have it, and the drone units over the moon to take possession of that as well. That is it for my operational report this evening. I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Inspector Graham. Any questions for Inspector Graham? Seeing none, I do have one, Inspector Graham. I noticed from the March statistics that operationally, in most categories, we've seen an increase in calls for service and interactions. Is that normal for the time of year as we break out of winter, or how would you contextualize that?
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing out of the norm here, given the warm weather and more traffic out and about. More people are out there calling in. It's quite normal for this time of year.
Thank you, Inspector Graham.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the Investigative and Support Services Report, Inspector West.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just, off what, I think victims assistance kind of, we're very humble tonight, and I just want to talk a little bit about them. So if you turn to page 15, just to break down some of the stats, and one of the stats in the presentation was 7,176 supports. And so that number really is telling of the fact they've got about 636 open files right now. Each one of those files, by my math, requires, 7 or 8 follow-ups. So the work they do is just immense. The other thing is so that it's not just the 3 of them doing the work. There's anywhere from 20 to 30 volunteers. I think right now we have about 22 volunteers. You wouldn't believe how dedicated a volunteer can be. I'll tell you what, I've had conversations where there's been incidents where victims assistance, doesn't happen very often, victims assistance is supposed to be called out by policy, and they through the grapevine find out that they weren't called out or come across the file. They're rightfully upset. They're upset that they weren't called into work, and that to me is quite extraordinary, and it just speaks to the dedication. So one file could generate a follow-up, a community support, a couple of visits with one of our service dogs, and several appearances in court. So it's not just the intake of one file. That file generates a lot of work. The other thing with a court, every once in a while, and when I go into victims service, I'll say, well, what file are you working on today, or you got any big files in the hopper? And they'll tell me about a file like, oh, it's a file from 2 years ago. And I'll go, I remember that file, a critical incident. And they're still dealing, because the court process is slow, they're still leading the victims through those court prep processes, which is extraordinary. Sometimes we lose sight as police officers. We've moved on. We may have to go to court and give our evidence. And there, the victims' assistants are still providing support to families and individuals 2-3 years down the road. So just an extraordinary group, and they're teaming with humility. I'll put it to you that way. They do just a great job. So that's my highlight, and I just wanted to showcase our victims assistance unit a little bit tonight. If anybody had any questions about any of the stats that I can answer, I'll certainly try and do so.
Thank you, Inspector West. Any questions for Inspector West? Seeing none, thank you. Chief Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Nothing to add to the Office of the Chief report of our activities for the month, but happy to answer any questions if the Commission has them.
Any questions for Chief Murphy? Thank you. We'll receive those reports as part of the package. Number 9A, new business. Vice Chair Keane, statistic reporting.
Yes, thank you, through the chair. I just wanted to maybe for us to discuss statistics one of the things that in going through the Office of the Chief report, where we have 3 months of statistics, it does tell us some of the story, but sometimes, in my opinion, it is a seasonal story. It's telling us more about the different seasons that we're in, as opposed to something that may be of a little longer term as some year-to-date statistics that could bring to light, you know, maybe some different areas that we could be struggling in the city, maybe to help in the sense of resources and where resources could go. And just, you know, as an example, I guess I would say calls for service. If we knew what calls for service for the first 3 months or 4 months, if we compared it for over the last couple of years compared to this year, I think that may be a benefit to us as a commission. So I just wanted to kind of put that on the table and get some thoughts from some other commission members, just again in the sense of governance.
Thank you, Vice Chair Keen. Commissioners, comments, questions? Councillor Hirsch?
Yeah, and in my day job, that's exactly what we do. We look at common trends and relative to year-over-year changes and look for materiality. If there's something that, back with the question right now saying, hey, is this normal activities? What I like about the idea of year-over-year is that you can absolutely match that month to what we're experiencing now and then look for that sort of trend. So I guess I just wonder, from shifting that focus a little bit on how it gets presented, kind of what would that look like? And are you thinking more in the last 3-year trend? What were your thoughts on that, Greg?
Yeah, thanks through the chair. I think just whatever would benefit us. I don't know that I have an answer. I'm not a statistics expert, but I think, you know, 2 to 3 years previous would certainly help us. And I want to keep in mind, you know, obviously it's more work as well, you know, but I think if we can keep it somewhat simple, not necessarily every single category, you know, that would help us.
Any other comments from Commission? I invite the service to weigh in, Chief.
Yeah, it's, thank you for the feedback. Appreciate that. We will take that away, and what we'll do is in the weeks between now and the next meeting, we'll work with Vice Chair Keen, and we'll make sure we understand what he's looking for and give him some options. And so you might see something different next month, and we'll go from there about what that'll look like. And we can pivot along the way if things aren't meeting our needs. So we can certainly, we'll take that away and work with the Vice Chair.
Thanks, Chief, and thanks for the willingness to look at that. Thank you, Vice Chair Keen.
Thank you.
With that, we are on to community consultation. Do we have anybody in the gallery who would like to speak before the commission? And if so, I have a statement. No? Okay, thank you for being here. If there's no community consultation this month, we will be ready to finish here. So the next open meeting is on May 21st, 2025 at 6 p.m. in council chambers. The following one is on June 18th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in council chambers. And then just a reminder, commission will break for the summer, July and August, and we'll be back in September. Thank you very much. A motion to adjourn. Councillor Hirsch, thank you.